Hi, I'm Don McKenzie from Colby Lumber. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about the nomenclature we use at the lumber yard. When I'm talking about nomenclature, I'm talking about the strange language we use. And I see it all the time. Somebody comes in and asks for a piece of plywood. I ask them a few questions and I just kind of get this deer in the headlights look. So we just want to talk a little bit about how we refer to things at the lumber yard. So kind of bear with me here. The most common thing we have is a 2x4. Everybody knows what a 2x4 is. Well, in the lumber business, a 2x4 is not a 2x4. It measures 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And then of course, whatever length you want. A 2x6 is 1.5 inches by 5.5. A 2x8 is 1.5 inches by 7.25. A 2x10 is 1.5 inches by 9.25. And a 2x12 is 1.5 inches by 11.25. However, sometimes we've seen those down as close as 11 inches. So things vary a little bit in the lumber business, and it's all about how it goes through the mill, when they plane it, how it comes out of the mill, and then of course they dry it. So the sizes vary a little bit different. The other question we have is all about plywoods. So plywoods, they come in and they say, for instance, would like a piece of 3/4 plywood. Well, okay, so we have 3 different grades of plywoods. And we'll ask you first of all if you want a finished side, and that just means that one side of the plywood is smoother than the other side of the plywood. So when you get down to it, plywood is graded by sides. So you have an A side, a B side, a C side, and a D side. So when I ask you if you want an AC plywood, then I'm asking you if you want a piece of plywood that has an A side and a C side. So you have a very good side and a fair side. And the same thing with an AB plywood. You have an A side and a B side. So the 2 common things you see out here in western Kansas is a AC, which is an A side and a C side. And you also have a CDX, which is a C side and a D side. So again, you got a fair side and you got a bad side. So CD plywood is just a fair side and a bad side. Now the X is something that's left over from the old lumberyard days. X, when they did it originally, only meant that it had exterior glue in it. So for exterior uses. Now, most all the plywood you buy, unless you're buying a finished grade plywood, will actually have exterior glue in it, whether it's AC, AB, CD, BC, whatever it is. So that's kind of the deal on the plywood. So just remember, if the guy at the lumberyard tells you, if I ask you, if you want CD plywood, all I'm asking you is what the 2 sides need to be on the plywood. People kind of overthink that a lot. Now the other thing we have questions about are MDF or industrial particle board. There's all kinds of names for it. What we carry at our lumberyard is a industrial particle board, which is basically sawdust that's all ground up and then put into boards, and they use a lot of it for cabinets and countertops and those kind of things. So you have MDF, which is medium density fiber board. You have MDO, which is medium density overlay, and it just goes on and on and on. So if you have any questions about that, please ask us. So that's just kind of a short little deal about the nomenclature we use at the lumberyard. Remember, there's no stupid questions when you come into the lumberyard, and a lot of times I tell people that come in, your husband sent you in because he really doesn't know what he wants either. So just kind of keep it in mind. We'll be glad to answer your questions. The other thing you need to remember is something I always say to a lot of people, that every job deserves a new tool. The tool doesn't have to relate to the project. So come check it all out at Colby Lumber, where we're more than just a lumberyard.